Hello, welcome to Celebrate Southern Africa. My name is Dawn Denton, and today I am speaking to the talented and fabulous Southern African jewelry designer, Leoni Klein, or Klein, or however you want to pronounce it. Welcome. It's lovely to chat to you on the live.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. It's lovely to chat to you on this wonderful, warm, sunny day in the
I
UK. It's
know,
like
isn't it?
summer.
It's just wonderful. We are so, but I must say, in this country, the weather is a big feature. Everyone talks about the weather. If you've got nothing to say to someone, you just start talking about the weather, and that's an opening, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a big opening and it just makes us feel more euphoric and we can get out there and face and all our worries are behind us and, we go forward.
I sometimes wonder how we traded African weather for British weather, but I must say, British summers are gorgeous. And I know that I'm looking forward to the summer because we're only a couple of days into the summer now. But I wanted to chat about your jewelry. So you create this amazing stuff, unique pieces. And I always wonder, where does someone creative get their inspiration from?
I think mostly comes from nature. Growing up in Cape Town by the ocean. I grew up in a really small village called Bay. It's quite trendy these days. It's like one of the most trendiest places. And literally from the age of 4, I swim in the ocean with my grandfather. And I love nature, the way everything, like from the seaweed to the flowers to the mountains to the walking and the hiking. And so that's my main inspiration about how we can take so much from nature, really, to be honest with you. And I mean, and metals, I work with metals and studied goldsmiths and silversmithing over 36 years ago, dare I say, very quickly. um, and loved it. And, it's just, you can do so much. It's flexible, it's movable, it's alive, and you can inspire with stones, shapes, textures, the finish that you want. And then you're making memories with people. So
That's a
that's
big
what it's all
thing.
about. Yeah.
Memories are huge. And I often think about a piece of jewelry that gets handed down through the family. And I know that it when you hold something that someone in your family or before you has worn and is no longer with you, you can feel them in that jewelry. And it feels completely bizarre to think that a piece of metal can bring that person to life.
Well, it's molecules and it holds memory, so many memories, and it can talk. And if you don't have any, you make your own memories. And good or bad, people have from their wedding bands and rings and gifts that were given with christenings, or gifts when they were born, or gifts by family, or left heirlooms, gift by loved ones, or gifts by first boyfriends and you know lovers and
Actually, that's true.
children.
You know, I had a boyfriend. Well, he wasn't really a boyfriend. It was kind of like, do you want to go out? Yeah, okay, great. And then I think I think I saw him like twice. And then sadly he passed away in a car accident. And after I'd broken up with him, but I remember he'd given me this little disc with his name on it. And I still have that, which is bizarre because we were never a very close. I mean, we saw each other like twice in the time that we decided, as a teenager, yeah, okay, we'll be boyfriend and girlfriend. And yet it's still something that sits in my jewelry box. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's amazing because that person has given it thought and has played that forward. And it all tells stories. And I mean, some people are very kind of not emotional about jewelry and that kind of thing, but others are so much so. And I often say, I get a lady who's like, "Oh, I've got this old charm bracelet and all these charms on my travels. My grandchildren, what are they going to do with all my children? They don't want to wear it." And I kind of like, well, let's make a granny necklace, or let's do something let's just pass it. Let's tell stories about the stories. And I said, it's about educating and telling your grandchildren, whether they're boys or girls. Oh, no, I've got no granddaughters. I said, boys love jewelry. There are lots of guys that are really, and they like the texture and the feel of it, and they like the story and the sentiment as much as like we have our African traditions, our roots, and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of inspired me. So wherever you go, you have precious memories that travel with you, and they light. They can, we don't have to put them in big
Absolutely.
boxes.
Well, when I go traveling, I generally buy a ring. Like rings are my thing, and I just love them. And bracelets. Not as many bracelets, but I always have to have a ring, and wherever I go on holiday, and those bring back so many lovely memories. There's a couple of rings though that I've got in my jewelry box that I can't remember where I got them from, and I'm really annoyed because I'm like, you're supposed to be telling me a story, and I don't know where your story comes from. I'm just going to make one up. So what made you decide to go into jewelry design when you were younger?
Well, the craziest things I did fine art, and at fine art, part of that was basically we did graphics, we did photography, we did jewelry, and just the love for working with precious metals and the fact that you can turn it and twist it and heat it and create it, and you can tell a story with it. It's so flexible, and then you can melt it all up and it can disappear and you can start again. I think that was my inspiring story. I've always done art and always will do art. But making jewelry is just the most amazing thing. I feel so inspired. And I've had the pleasure of it. The trust people have trusted me through the years and I've shown and listened with intent about what they want and try create them when their memories and making their memories. So for me, the walk has been really long and incredible. And I have worked previously and studied in the 80s in the UK. So for me, coming back to the UK, it's just coming back home and dealing with things that I know, though I've spent 30 years away. But the memories that I'm creating, and I still continue to create, is amazing. And I'm really, really lucky. And I just like storytelling, really. That's my thing. I like story. I like to have the fact that I can read in between the lines what a person wants and take their time. Yeah, bespoke pieces of what I specialize in. So that's my.
So do you sometimes just sit and create something like just, or do you only take what people have asked you to do? Do you just make your own sometimes just for the sake of because you're feeling creative?
Oh, completely. Yeah, yeah, very much so. I've got a never-ending stock of all sorts of things that I've made and sometimes hang on to, not happy to ever let go because, that takes me down a memory of where I was at that particular time and, the texturing or new experience. And then, it's very difficult to make something and put it out there and get somebody else to love it like you do.
Mm.
It's quite scary to take that big leap and put yourself out there and then reading in between the lines what people like. So I kind of work through sometimes some ranges, and then I have really bespoke pieces that people really, really want. Many pieces they've had, and let's make them alive again. Rather than sitting in jewelry boxes, never been worn. Let's make it walk, give it life again. Plus, with moving here to the UK, I started my Sapphire's jewelry in the UK, which is all African continent pieces. So reminding us about the wonder of Africa and the incredible shape and form it is, because actually the shape of Africa is alive with movement and the eclecticness and the warmth of the African earth, and you can feel it in our shape. And then I kind of comprised with our beautiful king proteas from South Africa or Southern Africa. Yeah, that's been my kind of field.
And I see that you have a table mountain around your neck.
I do. I have a table mountain around my neck. It doesn't go very
That is
far from me.
stunning. I love it. So tell me about the types of metals that you really like working with, because I'm sure that they all respond differently to when
They,
you work with them. And I don't know much about metal, but I just have a
yeah.
suspicion that they're all different.
Oh, very much so. And there's also cross contamination because metals can contaminate each other. So when you work with, I mainly work with silver, gold, and platinum. And when I'm working at my workstation, I actually work at separate sections in my bench when I'm doing different metals. Silver and gold, I can work at the same bench, but platinum would be worked at a different bench altogether because the moment you get a grain of that with the other metals, they just don't flow, excuse me. And they
Wow,
just
I didn't know that. So
yeah,
they so
yeah.
then so what is it? Does it actually then make it less responsive, or what happens to
It
it?
it actually sometimes can crack, and it forms bubbles, and it's just when
Wow.
we're making a piece, and we have what we call a skin at the bottom of our seat, which collects all your grains, which is all your filings and everything. So if you have a metal that's not responsive with each other, you normally, what I try and do, which I find is not good, I put it in a pot and send it away to the refiners. But if I've kept it separate and I'm just working with 9, I should be able to melt a lot of them it back down again to use it. But depending on what you're using, and saw blades get involved, and solder, and it depends if it's old metal, new metal. There's a whole host of things. And a lot of people ask me, why don't you work in brass? And many moons ago, I did. But the joy of it, you put in so much hours into it, and it tarnishes so quickly. So
Hmm.
and I like working in sterling silver 95, and
So
it's
tell me what
slightly,
that number is. Tell me what that number means.
so it's, yeah, it's got a higher percentage and less soft than what we call a fine silver. So it means that it doesn't bend as easy. So it'll often have a bit of zinc in it, or so, just to firm it up, to give it a bit more strength. So that's which is, and you get things called tarnish and non-tarnish, and that changes the metal, because silver is oxidizes with the skin. So a lot of say, oh, this beautiful piece of silver jewelry, but it's now turned black, and and it's easy to clean and polish, but it's because it's molecules. Metal is porous; it's molecules. So we perspire, we feel, we touch, we have grease on our hands, all that kind of thing. So it goes in, so it can be easily cleaned off again. But a lot recently, I do quite a lot of my pieces. I actually use something called rhodium plating, which is something that we dip, and it's like electroplating over your silver. So it stops the tarnishing, and it stops the sort of you don't have to clean this as often process. So it really looks good, and it looks quite similar to white gold, because in effect, when you're mining metal, gold is yellow. And we see on the market today yellow gold, white gold, but naturally out of the earth, it's yellow. And we use palladium and zinc and different forms to make the different caratages of metals. And
So tell me
yeah,
about gold. Is gold difficult to work with?
gold is lovely, especially when it comes to the higher caratages of gold, because it's more purities, like your 24 carat, like your 1 ounce Kruger coin. It's beautiful. It's like butter to work with. Whereas, the lower the caratage it goes, the more there's more mixtures into the metals. So that makes it, it makes it slightly different, and you can't maybe melt it sometimes, or it can crack. There's all different things that you can get that
And
comes.
older metals, you mentioned older metals. Is that are they difficult to work with because they have a different combination of metals in them in the old days?
Well, older metals anyway today, whether it's a mass production gold or gold jewelry that's made, they either have got different solders, different forms of solder they can use. And when you melt that down, it can actually cause your metal, if you don't clean it properly, and sometimes it doesn't want to clean properly, to crack. And you can say somebody's given you a whole pile, a handful of old gold, and it just keeps on cracking. So sometimes it's best to send it away, have it refined, or swap it out for new metal at a particular price, because it means that things like chain and things have all got a lot more solder in between, because every link is soldered, every piece is connected, so that has more impurities in it. So the purer the metal, the more fun it is. It's like butter. You can imagine sort of just like bit of plasticine, you can work with it and you can flow with it, whereas that's much easier, which is the harder metals. You have to then really cut out a pattern, roll it, heat it, roll it, heat it again, and that's the sort of process. And then you cut out a pattern on it with a minute little diamond saw blade. So yeah.
Wow, it sounds so much fun. I have to come and see your studio one day and see how you make it because it
You'll have
sounds
to
so
come.
much fun. Now, tell me, if somebody was getting married and they wanted a wedding ring, what is the best metal and what is the best solution to the longest lasting, because we hope that every marriage is going to last for eternity. What do you recommend for a wedding ring?
Well, the most popular and the hardest wearing metal is platinum. So it's a pure metal and it's hard and it doesn't need as much care as what the other metals do.
Okay.
So it is, and it's easier for wedding bands and things like that. But then again, it's also more costly. And some people just don't suit platinum because it's got that sort of steely look to it, with others preferring the warmness of lovely gold. Your purer your gold, the warmer it's going to look and the nicer it's going to be. And it also depends on your pocket. It's how you wear it and what you do with it. But I mean, a lot of gents tend to go with 9 carat gold because it's hard wearing. It's got some, alloys and mixtures with it that make it harder. It's just easier. A lot of gents work with their hands all day, so they actually
Yeah.
have to take their bands off and they can't wear it. I mean, nowadays there's silicone replacements or people are going for tattoos, but the exchanging of bands, there's nothing more wonderful than exchanging of bands and inside of it, inscribing a beautiful message for you to remember. And you fiddle and then you look at it and you'll have a look at that memory that you made on that day, that promise you made to that person. It's incredible.
Wow.
Um, because it's I choose you, to journey with me.
Yeah.
And
And
that
you're a part of that. You're a part of that journey with them, which is
absolutely,
even more wonderful.
all the pieces often of jewelry I make, I go, I'm actually also married to you because,
There's three of
and
us in this marriage.
three of us that's come along. And I mean, I've got a lovely young couple that I've just made making bands for, and they're getting married soon, and the excitement, it's wonderful to be part of that journey. It never surprises me, it never fails to be the most exciting journey I've ever heard, from young and old. I mean, the oldest couple I've made wedding bands for, 88 and 92,
Oh,
and it was a wonderful, it's incredible.
that
Lovers
sounds
young and old,
amazing.
it's
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. What's your most wonderful piece? I know they're all special, but is there one intricate or really tricky piece that you've made before?
Yes, I made a very difficult piece for a client actually when I was in Cape Town. She lives in Jersey. She no longer is here, unfortunately, very sadly. But I made a beautiful 18 karat yellow gold diamond and turquoise cuff, a bangle for her, which is a cuff that was hinged and it opened up. So
No.
that for me was inspiring because she wanted holes in the actual metal that were irregular shaped, because that was the journey of life. And she had many journeys in her life, and she had many partners in her life that had journeyed. And she took all the diamonds she had and all the stones, and her birthstone was turquoise. And I made this wonderful piece. And she said, "This is my piece that walks and talks my story of life." So yeah, yeah. And
How wonderful. So tell us how people can get hold of you and if they're interested in finding out more about the work that you do and your creations.
right, I have a Facebook page, Leoni Klein Bespoke Jewellery, as well as I have an Instagram page, so you can follow me on that. Instagram's open. Facebook, you have to request to befriend me, because I post lots of different things, so I keep it a little bit more private as well. And also, there are a lot of people that just surf and look for lots of different ideas. I like to keep it a little bit more special. I don't do mass production. I don't do off the shelf. So it's a bit more unique. And then I recently just launched my sorry, jewelry in the UK Instagram page, as well as I started the Facebook group as well. It's really new and different, and I'll be launching that at the Southern African market on Saturday, the 8th of June.
Fantastic. I am so looking forward to it. And am so pleased it's the beginning of the month because I'll have money. So I can buy something. And then the last 2 weeks of the holiday of the month, I won't have anything, but that's fine because, I don't have to eat when I've got a brilliant piece of jewelry.
Absolutely.
Oh, Leonie, thank you so much. And I am so excited that you're coming to the market, and I'm really thrilled that you are creating for our community, but also for people to inspire others about Africa. Because, that's the other thing is there's lots of people that I've spoken to have either been there on holiday, and the minute they hear my accent, they push through the crowd to come and tell me about their wonderful holiday that they've had in our country.
And
But
that's
the other
amazing.
thing, yeah, and absolutely. But also, there's people who have said to me, I don't think I'll ever get to go, but I've heard about it and I want you to tell me about it. And I think that, a piece of jewelry would also, inspire
Mm,
them to kind of feel like, well, we all originally come from Africa. So, it's our DNA. So,
absolutely.
it's just a lovely, lovely thing to have jewelry. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the market. But thank you so much for joining me on Celebrate. And I will see you next week.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Dawn. We look forward to it.
Thank you.